Adequate notice of this meeting being held on this 19th day of October 2023 at 7:30 p.m. has been provided in accordance with Section 3D, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
York,
Here,
Nelson, here. Mr. Keith, will he be joining us?
I have not heard.
Yes, here. Hi.
Teddy,
Here.
Lindsay,
Here.
O'Brien,
Here.
Mooney, here, and Mr. Becker is excused.
Have a motion open for public comment on the agenda items only.
I'll make a motion to open a public comment for agenda items.
Second,
I will second that one.
all in favor?
Aye.
And please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
Suzanne Wilder, 424 Charlestown Road. The two things that I brought up last time, the ordinance restricting public comment, adamantly opposed as I was last week. It doesn't solve any bullying, if that's what you said last week. If we have dialogue, which again, I said last week was very useful, with Township Committee members answer questions, it's back and forth. Definitely might be more than 3 minutes. And there was a comment on the Facebook page that 3 minutes keep decorum. I think that's your job as mayor or whoever's running the meeting to keep decorum, not an ordinance. So in other words, if someone yells out in the seat, every right to say, no, stop. Come up to the microphone, especially like you said, for the people that are remote, you can't hear back there. So that's my take on that. And then I have like a question for the fence ordinance. Can I ask it now, or you want me to wait, or?
So we're just
I
introducing
know.
tonight, so if we could save it for the actual,
Can I just ask my one question? I know, because there's a public hearing,
there's a public hearing.
right? And I'd like to ask my question before the public hearing, if that's possible. Thank you. So I have a question. So as an example, I'm thinking of myself or Joyce Koch, that she had put in a big, about 8-foot, very official fence to keep out the front part of her yard that she meticulously had redone for native plants. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's in her front yard. She's not a farm. It's not for domestic animals, so it's not agriculture. So I was just, the only comment that I really have is that where it talks about fencing for the containment or exclusion of agricultural or domestic animals, reword that so it can kind of go back to the intent, like of Joyce or I have in my front yard, of keeping up the deer possibly, because it does right now, the way I'm reading it, it's not covered, so it would need a permit. So I wanted that comment before the public hearing in case you guys decide that my comment was valid. Thank you.
The comment on the agenda.
Sarah Ising out 943 Iron Bridge Road. I'm new to this idea of restricting comment. Can someone explain to me the purpose?
So we're gonna talk about it more when we get to the discussion item, and we'll share some background with that.
Because my initial reaction is that you guys are afraid of us.
Thank you. Any comment on the agenda?
Are you taking comment on the fencing ordinance today?
We gave some liberty to Ms. Wilder, but we're actually hoping to hold it until we actually have a public comment period.
Okay.
We go.
Great. Just want to say I did appreciate the provisions that were made to that.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Any other public comment? Question to close public comment on the agenda?
Motion to close public comment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll change the resolutions a little bit, just don't group them together differently, but the, motion to adopt resolution 2023.94, recognizing Hindu Heritage Month.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.94, recognizing Hindu Heritage Month.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to approve resolution 2023.95, recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.95, recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take liberty to jump to resolution 2023.97, recognizing Italian and Italian American Heritage Month.
We'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.97, Italian and Italian American Heritage Month.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then back to resolution 2023.96, authorizing the township attorney to review sales agreement for Culberson property, block 5, block 45 through 49.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.96, authorizing the township attorney to review the sales agreement for Culbertson property. I'm not reading the rest.
Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Roll call, vote, please.
Keith,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And resolution 2023.98, the resolution to support the use of federal funds to support emergency vehicle replacement.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.98, federal funds to support emergency vehicle replacement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And before and after the vote, just for clarification, we are not replacing any emergency vehicles or spending any tax dollars. This was requested by one of our 5, I should say, 2 rescue squad agencies, but also representing our 5 fire companies to use the federal funds that are still available in the state to help assist local fire rescue agencies replace aging fire equipment. So this will be presented next month at the League of Municipalities for additional support. All in favor? Steve.
Is this first come, first served, like say Pattenberg needs a truck?
It's getting whatever process they establish. I don't think there's one established. This is requesting the funds are made available, and I'm sure there'll be a process, but
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Can I have a motion to pay all bills in the amount of $55,783.44?
Make a motion to pay bills.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Keith,
yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Report of municipal engineer is, our engineer is excused for this evening. Report of public safety officials, our state trooper representative is also excused for this evening. Under all business, our discussion for resolution 2023.93, establishing procedures for public comment before Township Committee. This was tabled from our October 5th meeting. I attended the meeting via Zoom, so I would ask if anybody had additional thoughts since that meeting that they would like to share regarding how we may want to proceed with this. Yes, this does.
I'm still not very big on it. When I think back, I don't think we ever had any regulations in regard to a time frame for our residents. I understand the concerns that are out there. I just, myself, I'm still not 100% behind this, especially at 3 minutes. Maybe we discuss a longer thing. I know some towns have 5 minutes or even 5.5 minutes. Something a little more lenient. Obviously, there's. I'm not the only one. What we're looking for in social media. I mean, there's a lot of people that are against it. So I'm just voicing my opinion. I'm still adamant here. This one, it's like favor. I think maybe we could try to discuss something different.
I think that was the intent, is that this
Just
is
to
sort of
discuss it.
can be.
Yeah, I'm in favor. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Steve.
Ladies first.
I'm in favor of discussing it and seeing, how we might want to revise it. There's some thoughts I think all the committee has.
I'm basically the same way, but I did a little bit of research on it, and believe it or not, 80% of the townships, I believe, around here have this in effect.
How many?
So, like,
80%.
I think change sucks. Basically, I don't like change whatsoever, and we've been very fair to the people, letting them voice their opinion, so. I'm not great favor for it, but I understand why it was brought up, and I do agree to an extent. I do believe we gotta do a lot of talking about this. You know, obviously, the people are here because they have concerns about it. I don't think I think it's kind of rude, having a clock, telling somebody already shut up. So I think it needs a lot of discussion. I do agree with certain points about it, you know. We just gotta do something that's right for the people. And we've always been very open and letting people talk, say whatever they gotta say, so having this slammed in the face ain't cool. So that's my comment.
Is there, and I'll throw it to you, Mike, and I understand, for the most part, I don't think our meetings really have any problems with that. Is there something we can do where we can put something in place, say we have a rather large turnout, there's gonna be a whole bunch of people who can say, okay, look, we don't want to be here at 2 o'clock in the morning, so we can have a restriction for something on a larger scale, on the scale.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right, because, you know, what we don't want is, let's say you're before a planning board and you have 200 objectors, they each get 5 minutes, and these meetings go on and on and on. So I think that there's a time and place to limit public comment, especially if it's duplicative, things like that. So it should be up to the mayor and the township committee if somebody's running a little too long, that we have perhaps some limitation. I don't think it needs to be an exact time limit necessarily. But yeah, for a township committee meeting, if it hasn't been a problem, I mean, we see it in the context of land use hearings all the time, but we don't see it as much.
So can we enact, so I read it from the DLGS that we needed to have something in place to be able to use it. So this is more giving us a tool, and however we are strict with it or not. So if somebody's here for the first time and they're uncomfortable, they're stumbling through whatever they're saying, you know, we're gonna work with them to say what they need to say. If there's somebody that's saying the same thing for the 4th time, or they're belligerent in some manner, then we have the tool of using the time limit, but you can't just put it in and out. I think.
There is something that can be set up, say, okay, for.
Yeah, I think that the 3 minutes is pretty tight for public comment in a township committee meeting.
How about I make a suggestion? I was away at the last meeting, but coming back and finding out that well, I knew we were going to talk about it, but I know I did some research, and actually Steve's right, 80% of the municipalities, of 526 municipalities, have a limitation in their ordinances to limit public comment, because that way they can use it. But I found one that I thought might be a compromise, because I actually remember the last meeting I was at, I made a comment that I like public comment, because we often get good, like we did, we get good comments that make us think about something that maybe we hadn't thought about before. I think tonight's an example of something we did on Fence Street that we hadn't thought about, but it was raised. According to your father did a good job raising something that we thought about, and we changed it. And I think he did a better job by doing that. So this is the and the other thing. You know, I went back and looked at the statute. The statute does talk, it's the Open Public Meetings Act, 10:4-12. And it does allow a limitation, and it's called public comment, not question and answer. So it can be limited to just comments. And then we move on. We've been, for the entire time I've lived there, it's been comment means question and answer, because we're a small community and we try to, somebody will say something, we try to answer. We have had on occasion, some people become, I would call the word belligerent, and refuse to allow, they want an answer, but then they won't allow the answer to be given. And we don't have anything in place to take care of that, except a criminal statute that says that you show up a meeting, you could be charged. We don't want to do that. So the compromise that I'm offering, and I'm saying this in terms of, I'm thinking out loud, something always dangerous to do on the record. That doesn't mean I'm endorsing it, I'm just saying it's something for you to think about. The public comment portion of our meeting, and this is from another municipality that they have some dealing. A much bigger municipality, it has to be a township. The public comment portion of the meeting is to allow the public to bring to the, I'm going to say, committee's attention their concerns and comments in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A, that's the Open Public Meetings Act. The township committee And ask the public to limit we'll ask the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the mayor or at his discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or ask the administration or other committee members to respond. So if we have that situation where it happens to be, we have lots of people come, we might limit the 5 minutes and not have responses because we'll be here until 2 in the morning. But in the normal course, I think within 99.9% of the times that I've been here in the 20 years that I've come, 30 years, we don't have that situation. But when we do have a situation, we don't have something close that we don't have an ability to put a limit to it. So, and I'm offering that for discussion, not saying it's a good idea, not saying it's a bad idea, but I think we should talk about it where it might be helpful, that satisfies the public's need to comment and ask questions, which the statute might say you don't have the right to do, but we've never had a problem with that before. And I like it. Gives us a chance to answer the questions we have. We don't really have a question. So perhaps something like that is something you might consider.
I think, I've always advocated to answer the questions. When I first came on the committee in 2011, I was sitting next to a longstanding committee member and I smiled and acknowledged the resident in a positive way. And that committee member followed me out in the hallway after the meeting and told me to never do it again and stare at the residents and don't interact. And that was my initial welcome to the Township Committee, and I was offended by that. So I've been guided by that for the past 13 years. And I think those who have come to the meetings see that I answer questions. I'm as liberal as I possibly can be. Sometimes they'll fault what this committee has shared with me because I'll open up in between, which I will refrain from doing, but I've always tried to do as much as I can to have open discourse. But I do think that we need something that we can use so we can be liberal with it. But if we do need to use it, I think we need to have something in place. And so I thought about this as well, and I do like the 5 minutes. I also reached out to the municipalities. They didn't have an exact number, but you know, their guesstimate was somewhere between 80 and 90%, with the average time limit being 3 and 3.5 minutes. But again, at the discretion of the mayor or the process leader, depending on the type of government that we have. So with that thought, I was thinking, or proposing 3 minutes as a time limit for the public comment on agenda items, and then our regular public comment would be the initial 5 minutes. And if everybody has had a chance to speak in the room that wants to, there could be an additional 3 minutes for a second comment. And I think that will, and then again, if it's somebody who's new, and if I'm the one who's the process leader in the meeting, and they're struggling and they need 6 minutes, I'm not gonna shut somebody down for that extra minute or even a few more minutes. Like, you do want to hear these questions and understand where everybody is that comes, takes the time to come to the meeting.
On the agenda, items, 3 minutes is probably plenty, but because you have time to read it ahead of time. It will also encourage everybody to think about what they want to ask, and so that it's sometimes the questions are repetitive. Ask them the same thing 5 times. Acknowledge and then try to give the answer, but don't necessarily have thoughts.
Questions on the agenda. We don't have to answer, it's just a public comment on the agenda item, so thank you for your comment. Next.
Right.
If we go back, if you choose to go back, or are we always gonna go back at public comment to answer that question? That's your discretion.
Yes, no, I've answered Suzanne's question. I'm probably not gonna say that my 30 seconds or whatever response is taken away from your 3 minutes.
Right, because to me, I always want to give the right answer to these people, because if I have an answer, I'm sure as hell I want to give it, and that proper time is gonna be at the end when it's public comment again.
Correct.
Another thing the audience has got to know, this is a business meeting. So we have business that we have to take care of. And if it runs into like, 10, 11 o'clock at night, that kind of shit. But we're well and open. I am open to answer every question, every concern, so.
I just, I shared, Suzanne, I know you mentioned last time that you like things on the record, I do respect that. But there are other ways to communicate with the committee, so I answer probably, I'm gonna say 2 to 3 emails, phone calls, messages through the Facebook page daily from residents that have questions, opinions, concerns. So there are other ways to communicate with us, and then if you would like to come to the meeting and express that. I also share, we're a committee form of government, so, 2 of us, can get together to discuss business, but 3 is a quorum, so where you have a town council, a lot of times you'll see they have business meetings and they can plan and work together beforehand. This is our only time to work together as an entire committee because of the formation or the type of form of government that we are. So we also need to be respectful of that. I know when I did the same thing when I first joined the committee, besides being told not to interact, we used to be here till midnight because we couldn't figure out a good way to be well prepared for the meetings amongst ourselves. And Mr. Kennedy remembers that as well. We've done a good job of finding ways to be a little bit more efficient. And I think we passed that time on to residents at that point.
So the question is, part of what you're proposing there, the 3 minutes and then 5 minutes, that's the 5 minutes at the end public comments toward the end of the meeting. Now, what if we open up discussion to the public in the middle of the meeting, sometimes we do.
We're gonna work.
We're gonna work to limit that. The only time I can see where we would open it up would be, like a public comment set on an ordinance, like we've got a public comment coming up
Right,
on
so,
the fence
but
ordinance,
if we
so
do-
we're gonna have to stop at that point.
If we do open to someone, then is that 5 minutes at the end gonna be deducted from what
No,
time we do?
no.
I would
I would not.
Let's just have the full 5 minutes at the end as well, be able to discuss.
I would suggest the same for the general public comment would be the same for the public comment on the ordinance. So you get the 5 and the 3 on the general ordinance as well.
And I got one more question. You would set on 3 minutes at the beginning?
No,
I'd like to bump it up to 5.
that's fine.
Is everybody cool with that, or that's too little?
You're not
Can
opening.
we open?
No, I don't want to open you, I was just answering your own question. All right, I mean, I'd like to see a little more 3s than limit. So as far as like, that's,
But I would say 5, 5, and 5, so 5 with an agenda, 5 for an ordinance, 5 for general public comment. And then the ordinance and general public comment could be 3 after everybody's had their first 5 minutes say.
right, you're giving them additional, if everybody else saying that, one more thing to say, that's cool.
Again, the intent is to be as liberal as possible. The meeting is running smoothly, and as Suzanne said, we have some control. Who's gonna be the time? Quite unfortunately.
I'll buy you a stopwatch. Now, one more question, sorry, but it's still on one agenda item only?
No,
Okay.
it's just the time constraint.
And we're gonna hold true, it's gonna be your decision, like, say Suzanne asked me something during agenda items only. Thank you for your comment, and then we get back to it.
Yes.
Okay, but it's gonna be your call, say, Steve, you have a comment on it?
Yeah, if we can answer and, again, I'm not looking to change the nature of the meeting, but I do think we've been in positions where we had no recourse over the past year, and this gives us that tool to use.
Exactly, tools,
Yeah.
right, thing you said.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I know it sounds strange, but if you watch me, I like to do math in public. But with the number of people here, if everybody used their 5 minutes, that would be 75 minutes. That we would be here, just with public comment. That's the first one. And if you did it again, you did it again, we're back to midnight. That rarely happens. Many people probably don't comment that long. But when you have, every once in a while, when you have something big and controversial, those kinds of things happen. And it does help to bring some order and decorum when there's someone who comes in with a comment on something about which they are very upset.
the past 2 meetings, the bridge and tonight is perfect example.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, I wasn't here.
I thought last meeting when they were commenting on the bridge, I thought that went, I don't think anybody went over any 5 minutes.
No, but still, there's nothing we could have did
If
about
I'm recalling it, I mean, were there 2 people who had the exact same comment? Yeah, but it was under 5 minutes, so.
it. It's very respectful.
And they were very respectful and they were respectful of each other. There have been times in meetings which had sparked some of this discussion where even amongst the, the residents and had not been respectful. And that's what kind of sparked beginnings of conversations. But yeah, last meeting was a perfect meeting on a topic that people were passionate about, that they got their point across.
My question is now to you, how do you feel about it now we talked about it a little bit?
I mean, well, I mean, I understand, look, I understand the need for some regulations to try to keep things in line. I also know that we are allowed to regulate the minutes of public comments. We can even go so far as to request that people, notify us ahead of time that they want to make public comments and what they want to make, so we can definitely make it stronger. I think by, proposal out there of the 5 minutes, the 5 minutes, the 5 minutes, and then additional 3 minutes afterwards as well. I don't see us ever having gotten past any of that. I mean, Steve, you've been here a lot longer than I have. Has any other meetings before? You know what I mean, prior meetings?
Yeah, there's been a couple of disruptive meetings.
No, have they gone more than, say, 15 minutes overall to comment per person total, you think?
It's been definitely past 5,
Yeah.
couple. How long we been here? 14 years maybe?
Yeah, that was 13, you know, I've been here 13 years.
Yeah, so in those 13 years, I'm sure there's gotta be 1 or 2.
I mean, I understand that, and I think that's a little more reasonable by, that proposal out there.
But this is still just
I'm
a
not really
tool.
happy about it, but.
No, I know, I'm not happy about this either, because I hate change and people deserve to be heard.
Yeah.
And if we can answer them and make them feel at ease living in this town, that's cool too. But I think,
At some point, though, you have to be able to have business done and not be here till.
Yeah.
midnight.
I mean, they used to keep me here like 11 o'clock at night, I didn't get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so that wasn't cool. But Paul's got the right word, tool. We have this thing we can use, we don't have to use it all the time, right?
No, I don't plan on using it unless it's necessary for, again, if there's an issue where somebody is belligerent or redundant to a fault, then we have it as a tool.
And you can also see by the crowd, what do we have here, only like 5 people in the audience? Look at the crowd you got tonight, because it's a very important issue that they have to talk about, so. I'm a little more comfortable with these regulations, like Paul said, I'm not happy with it, but
I said,
I understand
I never
why.
anticipated them doing this, because they said I was, we've been here 30 years.
But if it's a tool we gotta use, we gotta have something in place, like the speed limits. So,
Well, theoretically, they're enforced.
it was my road, too, also just have discretion.
Yes. Oh no, somebody keep choosing the top of Mountain View as a park road for the roadway up there with their tires. Lot of street on up there.
So somebody want to make a motion to adopt resolution 2023.93, amended to reflect 5 minutes for public comment on agenda items. And then we'll be having a public hearing on the ordinance, 5 minutes with a 3-minute, and then open public comment, 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Before you do that, can we say something?
In the public comment.
But,
You know what, I'm not gonna make the motion, Paul. I think what I'm going to do is I'd like to see it in writing. Let them make their comments, and then at the next meeting, let's have it written out. And so that they can all read it, and then we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Rather than adopting it tonight. Okay?
Let's everybody can see it in writing.
Yeah, I wanna see it in writing myself.
I mean, when a good comment better, then they're right.
It's not,
That's what I'm saying.
since it's, and you, so, okay, let me get on my, here we go. So what I'm proposing is I would like, the resolution to have the amendments done to it before it comes back to us to vote on.
Right.
It's not enacted tonight, so theoretically, we don't have a tool. We can, if we want, open it up to public comment now if we want, or we can wait until the end of the meeting. It's not a very long meeting tonight. And start to practice it and then have the comments come at the end of the meeting. Does that, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, so why don't we start it that way? Okay,
And it'll be on the agenda, so they can ask questions about it before the meeting
right,
starts.
so that's why I'm not making a motion to adopt it tonight. I'm making not even any motion. I'm just saying, let's get the changes in writing. They can all read it as we start to get used to, as you're saying, change, as we're starting to get used to that. Tonight, we'll take a little piece of it and we'll move the comments to the end of the meeting rather than opening it up now. and hearing them out, making the changes, and then they have another chance at the agenda portion of the next meeting to make further comments.
That's good.
Okay?
So the committee has asked me to stop opening up during the meetings and stick to the public comment for the efficiency of the meeting. So we will do that, especially since we will just take this for the next meeting.
And my second point is for the online people, because I watched the meeting back when I missed one a couple of months ago. And it was really tough as to stop the starts, this person, that person. So when you're listening to it online, it's very difficult. So, okay,
So we will put this back as a resolution on the agenda for the meeting.
do you get all that, Chris? What? Huh?
Further under old business, the reintroduction of ordinance 436.2023, amending section 102-19, fencing, walls, and site triangles. Can I have a motion to reintroduce?
I make a motion to reintroduce ordinance number 436.2023 on the fences, walls, and site triangles.
Do I have a second?
I will second that.
On favor?
Aye.
The public hearing will be scheduled for November 16th, 2023, and this will be sent back to the planning board for a master plan consistency review, since there's a significant enough change from the initial introduction. On the new business, we have the discussion to determine selection of the method for the 2024 professional fair and open process versus the non-fair and open process. Can I have a motion to open that discussion?
I make a motion to open that discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we do this every year, but usually we end up with a fair and open process. And so for residents who may not be familiar, although I share we do this every year, and some of you are consistent attendees, which I appreciate. The fair and open process, there are 4 characteristics of it. And one is public advertisement, either conventionally in newspapers or posted on the entity's website. We do it both, and with sufficient time given to notice. Also, the award is a process that provides for public solicitation of proposals or qualifications, meaning under fair and open, we go out for proposals for our professionals every year. And then the 4th is established on the basis of an award and disclosure process documented in writing prior to any solicitation and publicly opened and announced when awarded. The non-fair and open is an alternate process where professionals can submit. It's non-competitive, but then they have to document any affiliation and they can't contribute to any political campaign that may or may not have supported anybody who's elected over the past year. So as long as I've been here, we've always done the fair and open process, and then I've taken it a step further when I became mayor again in 2022. And I invite all those professionals to come to our reorganization meeting to present themselves to the public and the committee for further questions so that everybody can see how we select. Because before that, we used to just have a slate at the reorganization meeting. I found that residents like that. Let's hope we do, because it gives a greater level of transparency. But I also find the professionals like it too, because some of them, such as bond counsel, doesn't usually get to interact with our residents, and they're happy to come and share what their profession is and why they're here. Any other further discussion?
No.
Motion to close.
Make a motion to close discussion.
I have a motion to advertise for the year 2024 using the fair and open process.
I make that motion.
I'll say. On favor?
Aye.
Very good. Report of municipal tax collector was emailed to us and report of tax return.
Just the Culbertson property, we're working with the county on preserving that farm, so we're gonna have some more details. It's gonna require a subdivision, it's gonna require environmental due diligence, it's gonna require surveying. So that will be the responsibility of the municipality. And however, we can use open space funds for whether it makes sense to purchase and subdivide that farm for open space. More to come on that.
The actual acquisition would be through Green Acres and Hunter Land Trust, so it'd be a very minimal amount of use of our open space.
Right, and it would be deed restricted into perpetuity to preserve that property, so.
It'll that be about 100 acres of preservation. Anything else?
That's all.
Any questions from the committee for the attorney? Okay, report of health and safety coordinator, Mr. Lindsay.
We had our meeting today with Mr. Gemmell and this one insurance company. Basically, there were some current items, and we're reviewing the testing and mandatory training, they're gonna go over again, they're gonna review it, make sure that DPW guys, everyone here has their level passages, all that sort of stuff. So they're working on making sure all those are done for the year. A couple other things is, I know Jen has discussed before, he's gonna bring up the defibrillator over at Heritage Park. If we're gonna get that ordered or replaced or.
Yeah, I have the paperwork.
All right.
So we have the one that was recalled, so we'll get that replaced and,
And what about the one that was here?
that one was on back order, so we have the other company that we're working on getting.
All right, so, other than that, I can throw it in here as well, because it gets OEM related, but, our sam.gov is renewed, so I keep getting emails, don't worry about it, I took care of it, it's done. We're going to September 28th now, and, I'm not sure if anyone, Jen, you may have gotten an email from the state FEMA, the state police with regards to our, category Z. There's another form you wanted us to sign, so I called them, I said, how many times do I have to sign this form? They're like, oh, we're sorry, we sent it, and error, we have it. So just check to see if those funds get sent to us, I think $1,900 we're getting reimbursed for the CASD. But if you see an email with that form from Meredith from the NJSP, disregard if you said it was sent from Meredith to us. That's it for that.
Thank you. Any questions from Joanne about safety?
We got a good report.
Yes. Oh, yes, Judy, you can tell that, I'm sorry. You can put that in your report.
I'll wait till my report for that.
Report of Finance Coordinator, is myself, as we finish up October, going into November, we'll be looking at our 2023 budget for any line item adjustments and start to ask for budgetary department requests. And then all the items that we had committed to selling gov deals are up there now as well. So if you're interested in bidding on some DPW equipment or a still working copy printer, multi-function machine, they're all up there. And we'll be then put into the following year's budget also. Any questions for me? Finance side. Okay. Report of land use plan, Mr. Stone.
I'm a little afraid we got the planning board commissioner in the audience tonight. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Penny, in the public comment section, by the way.
Under 5 minutes.
Under 5 minutes.
It's not really enacted yet. We can talk as long as you want.
That'll be a half hour.
No,
Planning board chair, 2 minutes.
We didn't have anything left for the holidays, so, right now, we're really just, gonna do the fences and walls, master plan consistency. And there's an application going forward right now on a lot line movement. Other than that, if you have anything to add? Be my guest.
Pretty much it.
Any questions from myself? A report of governing body members, Mr. Lennon.
I'll just loop back around again to the safety committee. We did receive an excellent report from the insurance company in regards to our different incidents that we may have had here. Basically, what's the wording for Judy?
What, I'm sorry, what?
Well, Bob is telling us our exposure was very low, and as a result, they were very happy with
Yes,
our incidents this year.
Yeah, we haven't had-
Claims, they're all very minimal, there wasn't very much to deal with, so that all went well. And other than that, I'm pretty much. The Heart of Christmas, I'll let you know, I reserved the signboard in the county, so we picked that up. Well, they picked up November 27th, we can return on the 24th. I reached out to Melissa as well, if she needs anything else, I can get from the county. We can get gators, we can get, light towers, radios, whatever else we need. Doesn't cost us anything, it's all free, just gotta put the request in, and we just gotta pick it up and bring it back in the same shape we got it.
Yes, sir. Very good, thank you. Mr. Penn?
Nothing for the amendment, I do have 2 matters that should be discussed in an executive session, one involving anticipated litigation and the other involving employment, professional employment.
Thank you, Mr. Keith.
I got one litigation for executive session. Jen, I'm gonna ask a couple questions. As of today, me and Carlos didn't see any bids, and he screwed up his password, so we couldn't get on the search truck. Have you been on today at all?
I didn't go on today.
Okay, but as of
So he couldn't get
Yes,
back, he couldn't get on when he called me for,
When we called you, he screwed up his password again, so we couldn't get on.
I have his access if you want else.
Yeah, we got on the grader, 2 dump trucks, there was no bids. 92 watches on one and I think 8 watches on the other. The grader was basically the same thing, a couple watchers, no bids. And the search truck and the copier, we just didn't get a chance, so. That was as of today, and the copier and the, search truck was like yesterday, there was no bids, so. Carl also asked me about, he wants a York rig. And he asked me, and I said, if you need it, we'll get it. He gave me an explanation why he needs it, and I think it could be some good use.
Well, we just have to go through the process and how you submit for.
He said, he said he had it in his budget now, he could use, yeah.
I mean, he's got money in his budget, so
Right.
it's not something that he.
And the quote was like $2,800 because it's an 8-footer. I mean, I have a 6-footer, and I said, I'd gladly let you use it anytime, but he said he wants an 8.
They also for liability in general, we should.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you need it just for a day, or somebody gave me the use why you would need it, and I said, fine. So I did get my approval, so.
Yeah, the operational is below the threshold, so it's in his budget, so we can go ahead and take care of that.
And I want to thank whoever was involved in, gov deals, so thank you very much, so. That's what I got.
Thank you. Ms. Nelson?
Well, just to piggyback that, yes, we have got a very good report today, was very happy. Our workman's comp claims and all, we had a very good reports. Paul stole a little bit of my thunder there, so I have nothing else to add. Thanks, Paul.
The report township administrator?
So I also was gonna report on the safety committee meeting that we had, but just the one main thing, with the staff training, so there are mandatory trainings that even us here, we were required to, have certain training, along with the governing body, so we'll figure all that out and at a good time for how we wanna do that. And then I have 3 contract, 1 legal, 1 personnel for executive.
1 legal? 3 contract, 1 legal, and 1 person?
1 person.
Very good.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
And getting back to ordinance 436, the site triangles,
Yes.
we just need a referral to the planning board?
Just I do that by motion. I just stated that we were going to.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't catch, I'm
I
sorry.
did, no, I did, yeah. I stated that we sent back the master plan consistency.
Okay, thank you.
Report of mayor. One, talk about public comment. I made the offer to, take all the people who came and made comment about the bridge and come with me to the county. And somebody must have seen that because soon after, most of the wood was replaced on the wood bridge. If not all of it, I haven't had a chance to look at it since they started the work, but the little wood bridge people were concerned about. The wood planking was replaced by the state. And then yesterday we received, or Tuesday, we received confirmation that the bridge on 579, the metal bridge, they're not going to start the construction yet, but they do have all the approvals to repair what's existing there. It'll take them about a month to work with the train schedule to be able to start the repairs. So they'll start mid-November and it'll take about 2 weeks for the repairs. So that bridge should be back open again early December, mid-December, the absolute latest, and will be available for the weather, which was part of the concerns that we had. So I appreciate the county and the state being more receptive once they saw additional people. And then some activity on Friday, as I chair one of the committees of the League of Municipalities, so we were there, as we were talking about or giving information about our public comment session. Also following up on affordable housing, there's a subcommittee and also the conference of mayors. So a lot of municipalities are trying to be proactive. I'm leading the charge from the conference of mayors side to be proactive in how we present the affordable housing. So we're not behind the 8 ball. So the last few sessions, the towns were really always behind, and the towns are going to be working together to figure out better ways to implement affordable housing. Hopefully work with Fair Share and the New Jersey Builders Association in a little bit more productive manner. And the real intent is to get it back out of the courts and back into the legislators' hands. So we're hoping to find a legislative body that may take that on, and we're looking to have the capacity of all the statewide municipalities. with the intent of finding reasonable affordable housing regulations for municipalities such as Bethlehem Township, and of course, to save us taxpayer dollars. The other thing, Judy and I went to the pipeline training with our deputy OEM, and it was the three of us, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Ken was there.
Yes, and Jim Moore also was part of our CERT team was there, so we had 4 Bethlehem Township representatives back at the pipeline training, which is always informative. We have 2 pipelines we've been running through Bethlehem Township that we would respond to gas pipelines. And then after that, Ms. Nelson and I went to the Cub Scouts, which is always fun to talk about.
Animals.
Yes, they had a lot of questions about the animal ordinance. So I think we're gonna invite them into the planning board meeting for the next one. But it's always great to talk to our Cub Scouts. So with that, I'm motion to open public comment.
I'll make a motion to open the public comment.
Second. So if you can just make sure you go into the microphone, state your name and address it.
Good evening, Barbara Cochran, 507 Charlton Road. With regard to resolution 2023-93, I think the board has already the intrinsic right by law to isolate elements of the public if they don't have good behavior. That is part of that. And we will only have, I think, 2 public hearings that might be well attended in town. And one is the settlement and the other one, the master plan revision. So, well, for the settlement, the public hearing, the public comments, because of whispering would have no effect. But I think it's a bit bad timing to limit public comments now, when we will have a revision of the master plan that could get the interest of some people. Thank you.
Well, Sarah Eisinger, you already have my address. I took some notes while you were discussing this possible limitation of speech, and I'm very curious to hear that what I am attending now is a business meeting. I don't doubt that it's partly a business meeting, but this is our community meeting. And I can't imagine that you would see it only from the business side. I hope that's not true. You're here, if you have to stay extra because there are a lot of issues, that's your job. When you ran for office, that is certainly one of the possibilities that you must have expected is possible. We're people who have concerns. We count on you to deal with our concerns, and sometimes it may go longer than you or I or anybody else wants, but that's reality. And it seems to me that is what a public organization like a town, by the way, it's called the town committee, it's also called the town council, and the word council means to discuss, if I'm not mistaken. So I hope that that's not forgotten in the idea of how this limitation should be promoted. It seems to me, by the way, I would love to see it, and I'm so glad, Judy, that you asked for this to be delayed for a week, because I wonder if you would consider writing that comments can be limited rather than that they are limited. So you have a tool to say, this is the time when it can be limited, rather than saying that it must be limited. Because if it's only up to your discussion, I mean, if you do it in such a way that it's really, well, I'm sort of contradicting myself. I do worry that if you do it in such a way that it's up to the discretion of whoever is the mayor, him or her, by the way, that's reminds me of those signs on the highway that says speed is observed by helicopter. Now, we all know perfectly well that that's not true. So don't make scofflaws of us, if you know what I mean. as far as respect is concerned, we have all been here, including myself, and is long enough to know that some of the most disrespectful moments in this room have been among committee members. What would you do about that? We've had some very, very aggressive, nasty conversations among members of the committee. I hope there's a way of dealing with that because it's very unpleasant and it discouraged people for a long time from coming to committee meetings. Well, that's one more question that just came up. What pipelines are you talking about?
Gas pipelines.
Are they in prospect? Are they realities? Are they?
They exist, and so every year, first responders trained to respond.
Oh, I see, okay. Anyway, thanks for this chance to say my point. I really do hope you consider that idea of saying that it's a tool that can be used. Thank you.
Any public comments? Close?
Kenny Shalay, block 3, lot 804. I want to give kudos to JCP&L. Reach out to them. I'm on the sharp hairpin bend that's on 579. It's been a nightmare over the last probably 7-8 years as far as power outages. They've come out now over the last 2-3 months. They've probably taken down 36 trees, and they sent a tree crew to cut the very large trees down, all the dead ash trees. They came back and they removed all those trees too. So they put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. We will bitch about outages all the time. I think everybody in town does, but I think it's due to give them some,
There's been a lot of push.
a good job done, so.
And I do know that different parts of town are areas of different rotations. I think your area is part of the rotation now. There's gonna be another part of town next year, so.
Okay.
So I'm gonna find out what that area is, you get residents to call and complain, and hopefully that area may take care of it as well.
Okay, and then the other thing, as far as the bridge goes, I don't know, will you be the update? They didn't replace all the wood. It's not, unless it was done today, because I didn't drive over it today. But as of yesterday, they're doing work on it, but I think it's more underneath. But we need better communication on 579 when this bridge is actually replaced. Right, it's been an absolute nightmare over there for a lot of people. Coming through Willow in Bloomsbury, although they did part of that, they did rebuild part of Willow. Going up to that old wooden bridge is extremely narrow, and there's a lot of attitudes going up there. So definitely something that we as a town need to pay attention to, even though it's a county road.
Yeah, but we try to work with Bloomsbury as well, and it's difficult because the county has some jurisdiction, but it's still not their bridge, so it's like we're the third in line to try to influence action. Any public comment? Close?
Motion to close public comment.
Yeah.
No one's raising their hands on Zoom.
Andrew Laffey, 3 Farrow Lane. Thank you again, Ms. Nelson, for pushing the resolution to next week. As it was stated before, it will only be fair, and I believe Mr. Lindsay pointed this out last meeting, that rather than an absolute rule, it's a tool. So to start, that's the first thing. Second is, there's a police report that was submitted back on June 25th under suspicious incident at block 34, lot 12, 1087, Route 173 Bethlehem by Guy and Debbie Patton. Do you need a case number for that?
You take it, I'm not familiar with
I
that.
don't know what you're talking about, so.
Sure.
What was the report for, you?
It was for the smell of, it was reported as the smell of death, but it was written in the police report as the smell of propane or methane coming from that property. And as you know, there's been issues in the past with the surrounding neighbors and concerns that we all can live together and cohabitate without these issues of smells and other issues that impede the quality of life that we came here to live. To get you, this was produced by Trooper Hanratty, and I can provide this to you, Mr. Mayor, via email.
Sure.
Just trying to locate the actual case number. Mr. Lindsay, can you give me a little bit of advice on this, just so I'm not wasting anybody's time?
It's same police on what we do, but.
Top right corner.
Thank you, thank you. Where's it? There you go. Says state police unit B 110.
That's it.
Yeah, B 110.
Do you want?
Thank you, sir.
Do you want?
Thank you. Yes, you did it.
That was June 25th.
June 25th, yes. And may I read just the description of the report?
Sure.
Okay. On the above date, New Jersey State Police Perryville Station troopers were dispatched to a suspicious incident located at 1087 Route 173, Bethlehem Township, Hunterdon County. Troopers were advised that the RP, later identified as Deborah Patton, had called the state and had believed that this location was illegally dumping materials on the property. She further stated that she lives in front of the property, and then when she is outside of her residence, there is a full odor, and she believed it could possibly be methane or some other type of gas. Upon troopers' arrival, there was nobody at the site. It was noted that there were multiple tractor trailers in the lot, as well as multiple pieces of heavy machinery that, when in use, could have been producing the smell of gas. Troopers then met with Deborah, and she stated that this is not the first time that the smell of gas has been an issue for her at her home. She further stated that the company that owns the property behind her home is also the septic company. At that, she has witnessed them dumping materials from those jobs in the past. No further New Jersey State Police action was taken. So this has now become a documented issue where I would ask that there's further investigation and oversight to take care of why this is happening. Where is it coming from? And where is it going?
We'll follow up with the state police and see what their investigation revealed.
Thank you.
And public comment. Motion to close public comment?
Make a motion to close public comment.
Oh, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
We just shared this, Larry made a comment about serving. So when we met with the Cub Scouts, and I meet with the Scouts quite often, one of their questions was, what's one of the most difficult things about serving on the Township Committee? And I shared one of the most difficult things for me has actually been, I think, a recent occurrence. And it's the perception of what our national discourse is coming into this room. So when I was elected 13 years ago, I'm just your neighbor. And when I first moved into town, Mayor Beverly Grayson was here, and I met with her and I asked, how can I help? And that's really where all my intent comes from. I can't speak for the other committee members, but I've gotten to know all of them. And I believe that's all their intent as well. And so when it comes down to it, I want to be very clear that we're your neighbors. And so, yes, there's public comment, but when I ask or say that we're available by phone, email, message, I want to talk to you. We want you to think of us as your neighbors. We want the same wonderful things for Bethlehem Township. So I please ask, as we move forward, that you think of us as your neighbor. Feel free to reach out to us in the most easy manner that you can. If there are things that you want on the record, please come for public comment, but we're here. I know I'm here. I share my phone number with everybody to try to be as available as possible. I've met with residents after hours in the building. I'll meet residents at their house. I spend time, nights, weekends. I'm not concerned about being here till 1 a.m. I'd like to have an efficient meeting, but I'm here at all times for all residents. I think most people in this room have seen that or seen me show up at certain times when you wouldn't think that I'd still be out there. So I'm here 24 hours, 7 days a week. My wife will tell you if my phone sits next to my pillow at night, it's on, and I get phone calls at 2 a.m. and I'll answer. So again, we are all your neighbors and we're here to be with you as Bethlehem Township residents. So with that, I have a motion to enter executive session. I do not anticipate any action to be taken, so we will not be returning to public. We will be discussing 3 contracts, 3 litigation, and 2 personnel issues.
I make that motion to go into exec, no action to be taken.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming out tonight.